All right, there's our first. Oh, yes, struck it with a copyright. Morning, everybody. Crow here. Yeah, just getting ready for a day of the same routine. Morning, Cobra, Triple C. Morning. Just watched a couple of your videos there on Dante for one. That was cool. It's fun, man. I can really see after the spread of like what probably 10 videos spread, I'd say the difference between when a guy is like a little unsure what he's doing with his review and when the guy is right on the ball and you are at that getting on the ball point rate. So it's good. I'm enjoying it. There we go. I'm a little slow to start today, guys, because trying to get my questions ready for the surprise live dry run that I've got planning out with a certain titled subscriber who has his own channel. Not going to say who he is because could be anybody, right? I kind of left that offer out to anybody, and anybody did in fact reply, "Hey, Bobby, good morning. How you doing today, buddy?" Yeah, so I was a little slow setting up. So I have an agenda for today, not necessarily a timeline. It's just play it by easy. It's Saturday morning, right? Just working on primarily, I'm going to bang out some ideas about Frank Castle that I think needs to be hardline about Frank Castle if he were to come over to Cobra, specifically the Cobra Crimson siege armies, right? And then I've got Grievance just eagerly waiting. He's checked in, and I hope he shows up at some point for the live or happens to chime in. I'm going to show you just a couple of the prizes he's getting in with that custom, and I'm going to keep working on a rock and roll. I've got a weapons conversion to show you that works with some of Loki Wartooth pieces that he sent me, and one that I said I wanted to use, but there was a problem I fixed, right? I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the hobby supplies and embracing the suck, because I got some good offers on the go from a few people here who wanted to help me with a couple of things, and it's really humbling and flattering when I get those offers. Hang on, was that I put the offer out to Aaron and Darren, but I don't know if they're showing up today or not. I don't think Aaron will, and I don't think Darren will. DS. Down south. I'm rhyming names for no good reason here. But Aaron the Toy Enhancer and Down South 77, sometimes they'll join me and we'll just do an impromptu backyard battlefield. I'm not really expecting that today. I saw both of them in the chat late last night, and I know they have days ahead of them. So I said, guys, here's the link. If you want to drop by, feel free, use it. If not, don't worry about it. Yo Crow's just gonna kind of fly straight today and see which way the wind takes him, kind of deal, right? So gonna work on Grievance's blueprints here. What I was referring to a while ago. Hey, Daredevil Dave, there's one of the guys that was offering me help, and I really, really appreciated it. I did, and the help that's been offered lately is to help me get ready for the Power of the Force video I'm doing for the community project that was launched by Allison Troy and Punk with Toys. Two people you should be familiar with at this point. But if you are somebody that happens to just be watching The Crow for the first time, reviewing a live that he did, and this was the one, I suppose there's a possibility you don't know who those two people are. Maybe you just bought your first toy because you just had an abused childhood or something. I don't know. But I'm going to find you a picture to do the right thing and refer you to these people. Because Allison Troy, she has her page, the Retro Toy Princess, which is a great, I think it's usually on Sundays, I think, is the ones where I've seen them the most. But maybe I've got that wrong because I'm retired. Days have no meaning to me. Maybe I just never noticed. But I see her every weekend. She's got a guest on there. And I think our buddy Aaron the Toy Enhancer is going to be going back for a second run. he learned how to color the first time he was on there. I think I'm not sure. I watched part of it, but it was muted. And then today, I think he's going to perfect coloring. So Allison, when she does her channel, guys, it's a lot like right up my alley, right? Like what I've been saying. I kind of want to put you at ease, and I want to just talk to you, right? I don't necessarily need to dig into your past or your business if that's not what you want to do on those lives. Uh, it's whatever you want to do to make you comfortable just getting those, I don't know, pre-live jitters at least addressed and go, yeah, no, that wasn't as bad as I thought, or it was terrible and I never want to do that on my channel, right? Doing it on my channel, the reason I put it out there was just so that it doesn't necessarily have to show up in your scroll feed if you want to just forget about it, or if it went great and everything like that, you will jump on your first channel and be able to say your premiere went your way the way you wanted it to. And we had that practice run, right? So I just saw a lot of little opportunities that, you know, not everybody's going to take it. And if nobody takes it, it's fine. It's out there. But some people are taking me up on it, and that's great. So I'm going to get in touch with them this weekend. And one of them this afternoon, particularly the very first one that popped up, that I said, yeah, we should definitely make you the first one. I just have to get the questions on the go for him and for Grievance, so I can clarify Grievance's prize here. Like I said, he wanted a Punisher, basically, that works for the Crimson Guard in this whole Joe Cobra warfare thing, right? So, but yeah. Anyways, Allison and Punk started the May the power of the force. Bunch of us entered. I browbeat Punk till he let me in, and I had to do. I didn't have to do. I chose to do it in a way that he couldn't look away, and he didn't. He really didn't. But I forgot where he was geographically, and so what I sent him probably resonated with him a little bit more than I thought it would, because of it's geographically referenced. And in my video review of the Power of the Force C3PO, our good friend, this happy fella, who I haven't opened yet, but trust me, he'll be open by then. Hey, there's Aaron, and Cobra Triple C is happy, joy, and Aaron is here. Hey, buddy. You know, you're probably at mobile right now. If I know Aaron right now, he's got his allowance. He's probably been saving a lot of the loose change that he's been finding in his pockets all week, or in the seats of his truck, and, you know, anything in that little change jar when he goes out to work. And he's probably going some thrift shopping right now, looking for some deals. He's got a lot of projects on the go that he's got to get stuff for, I'm sure, but it's just that kind of a day. You can feel it. And you know, Aaron, if you're not in your car driving around, and if it's not work related, Missy related, house related, I'm assuming it's got to be toy related. But if you're just sitting there eating your bowl of cereal watching, then I did send the link, buddy. That's all. All right. Pardon me for eating, guys, but I was up late last night, and I was up early this morning trying to get ready for some stuff. But part of being on Adderall, I find, here's your spinning compass moment, is everything's a priority. You lock in, but you forget to eat, and you want to eat. So I am the kind of guy that will put off eating for like 6 hours well after I start feeling hungry. So I've got to try and get on top of that. That's not healthy living at all. You know, I'm all about that mental health, but I'm not doing a very good job of that physical health, right? So I've got this little sketchbook that I've got dedicated to Grievance's character here, and of course I'm just working off the 3 sentences he gave that Aaron noticed to get him down to the final 5, and then 3-star noticed to get him down to the final 3, and then the dice noticed to help him win it. 3 sentences sure isn't enough to do him, you know, the full justice his character is going to deserve. So of course I like I was saying, I'm writing down questions so that I'm ready for things, guys, when I got these guys going. And what I'm trying to do lately, before I start working on paint and stuff, is I'm trying to take a thought process that helped us all in the military and helped me greatly with ADHD once I figured out, hang on, that has a lot of other applications outside of work, but you need to do this way, right? And it's something called the 16 steps of battle procedure. Okay, so some of the guys in the chat and whatnot, if they're watching or in the comments or whatever, that got military experience might know exactly what I'm talking about. It occurs to me, but a lot of guys don't, right? Because they've never actually heard of these 16 steps of battle procedure. And what I'm going to do is I'm putting a focus on a kind of tongue-in-cheek, fun way of showing it on a Joe video, like I did one time when I showed how to do an ad hoc section attack with your 10 Joes, right? And the ideal composition, just a little tactical perspective fun. But the thing about the battle procedure one is I used to teach this a lot to guys that were going on their leadership courses, getting ready to go up the ranks. You need this to plan missions, right? So it's a very logical breakdown on the planning process for any kind of mission or task, right? So thorough, but so plain sensed that once I go through it, you'll realize you already do. Out of those 16 steps, you probably already do, and almost in sequence, at least half, if not more of them. But once they're shown to you in this structure and this way of doing it, it's eye-opening because when I teach it to all sorts of trades, I've taught it to Navy guys, I've taught it to Army guys, and I've taught it to Air Force guys. It's just whoever shows up on these primary leadership courses that we were tasked to teach, right? And you have to teach this or else they don't get to progress past corporal. And battle procedure, you explain it to them, and if you explain it to them the way it's traditionally taught, like a lot of dry ass Army courses, it's boring as hell. It really is. It's dry, and you sit there and you're like, okay, but then what do you do? What? I don't understand. Because a lot of military instructors are not really passionate about teaching. Like, that's not, they didn't join the Army to go teach. They joined the Army to do the job, and then they had to fill in one of these positions to qualify for their next promotion or position. They had to do a time in a certain posting. That was the only position available. So yeah, it is a crazy coffee corner time. I'm telling a story about battle procedure right now. Go fig, eh? So the thing about how I went about teaching it, that not every instructor did, but the guys I worked with we all agreed. I was like, you've got to do it this way. When we got to our posting in Wainwright, Alberta, that's when I showed up there. I noticed this major. He's an officer, right? Like you go lieutenant, captain, then major in the Canadian. So this major was our company officer, and for some reason, this school had always done it that officers will teach these non-commissioned members, the corporals and the future master corporals. He's going to teach them battle procedure. And so I watched him teach 2 classes of it when I first got there. And I knew this guy from my regiment before we had both been posted there. And what I watched was a bunch of lost faces, because when an officer teaches a class, he's focusing on all these core fundamentals that are all part of this bigger picture that his commanders need. So he's trying to explain to you what his needs are in your battle procedure planning for your operation. And then these students are supposed to draw that into a step-by-step process of what they've got to consider, right? I don't know if you're able to follow along with that or not, but there's an extreme gap in that level of thinking. It's not a needs-based approach that works, because the needs of an officer and the needs of the NCM, while they kind of run parallel and overlap at times, there are different sets of needs for information and what they've got to do, right? So this officer is teaching these guys kind of how he sees battle procedure, but no NCM had been teaching them this. So I sat down with everybody in the company, and it was a really arrogant thing for me to do, but I took advantage of the fact that I had a history with this officer, a long history, like we were overseas together, right? So I kind of got to have the privilege, and it was a privilege that I abuse, right, of knowing him on a more personable level. So I kind of overstepped my bounds, and I told him, I said, yeah, you can't teach this anymore, sir. It's got to go to an NCM, and I'm a sergeant, and these are corporals, and in between there's a master corporal, it makes sense that we teach it, right? Us NCM. So I'm going to teach battle procedure right now, and we're going to do good. The only reason I'm telling you this story, guys, is because some of you have picked up I'm a kind of a weird cat. And you can kind of picture that I can walk into somebody's office and just kind of tell them how it is when they're the boss, if I feel I've got the right logic to it, right? If you can picture that. So, long story short, me and every other sergeant in the company, we win. We get to teach battle procedure. It tightens up because our needs for that information, we've already gone through what these guys gone through, and we know how to organize it. So why shouldn't we teach it? And when I teach it, I just got to pause. If I were to join the military, I'd just keep asking, when do we eat and when can I fire off some rockets? Yep. So that's the first week of just showing up the basic. You eventually go back to that. That never fails. You always want to eat and you love doing the job, right? Shooting shit. But when I taught battle procedure, the first thing I thought of is I'm looking at all these guys with different experiences in their jobs. Not everybody was combat arms and frontline infantry and stuff like that, like me and the guys I work with. Some of these guys are clerks that sit in an office all day and do accounting or type memos, right? Some of them are Air Force geotechs that are sitting there trying to overlay photos onto a map and make a more realistic map. They all have different backgrounds in the military, and I've got to try and teach them all the same thing because I'm teaching them how to be a combat arms leader, because that's the basic. We keep saying everybody's secondary job in the Army is infantry. You have to be able to do infantry shit if you ever got ambushed. Simple as that. So trying to coordinate these guys, and I looked at them, and they're all like 26, 27, a couple younger ones, but a lot of the guys were in their 30s and 40s. And then it suddenly dawned on me, guys, battle procedure, you've done it. If you've ever planned a family vacation, when your wife starts getting antsy or she won't put out anymore or whatever her little thing she does that you realize there's something wrong, that is the very first step of the battle procedure we call receive warning. Okay, that's a warning order. You're going to go on a mission. When a wife gives you her warning order, that's your, if you want this to stop, do something. I need to get out of this house and away from the kids. That's always it, right? So when I start explaining stuff like that, it makes it more relatable. So I'm going to do videos about Joe and hobbies and conversions and collecting and Hasbro. And I'm just going to apply it to what battle procedure looks like in a series of videos, right? 16 videos about battle procedure coming up at some point. So, hey, working on, if Jay's watching, I had to restart all the cam on the V2 rock and roll. I forgot my own process there the other day. I was wondering why I was struggling having that offset color in between the dark and the light. And it's because I screwed up the simplest thing I've ever learned. You don't go dark light, you go dark medium light and you build it down or you build it up, right? So I just kind of skipped my middle step. So I've corrected that, Jay. And then on a more thorough painting, I'm going to fill that in. Let's get caught up in the chat, and it's all good. I'm gonna wait to show Grievance's little stuffy stuff over here until a little bit later. But the power of the force stuff, guys. If you guys aren't following that, I'll just close out my last thoughts on that. So in May, it's all going to kick off with Punk's review of Han Solo, right? And people are going to, if you're just learning about it, you're going to go hashtag May Power of the Force. Why? Like, I get May, but why Power of the Force exactly when there's so many amazing Star Wars lines out there? There's the Black Series. There's just a lot more we could do. And a lot of us are known for just doing Joe or some of the current lines. Why are we going back to Power of the Force, right? And then you remember Retro Toy Princess. This whole thing spawned with her Genesis, right? You can't have the retro if you're doing something new and call it retro, right? So the benefit of the Power of the Force really was a perfectly reasonable, accessible, and diverse figure range on a known subject, a shared love, passion of Star Wars, that everybody could more or less access and do something with. Either you had it in your collection already, or you can go out and buy it affordably. And I think that was the intent where it kind of showed to a lot of us that went, Well, yeah, now I want to do it. It wasn't about it being cheap or common or simple or even about being May. What it was about the spirit of the game, man. Like this was heavily promoted to us. It was like, it doesn't matter. Do it on your channel, your way. You're going to do it this way, but have fun with your figure, right? It's not like after your review, anybody's expected to have a changed position on this. They've been around for God, 20 some odd, 30 years. Yeah. So that's a lot of fun. I have C3PO because that was the only figure I could get over at Cobalt's Corner. They're the only ones I saw that had it. And I wasn't driving all over town. And the figure was $6, right? $6 new in box, just like they had all hoped when they do it. But I've been working on some little background projects, and this is why I said no, Dave, is because what I wanted to do was, because the idea of the contest is to do, not contest, but sorry, these hashtag May the Power Force, is to have every contributor bring what they are bringing to the table into this community video series, and just it makes everything unique, right? So if I start borrowing all this stuff, that's something I don't normally do. I know I borrowed the vamp because it was a mutually beneficial arrangement between me and Jay because of his vision issues, and because he knew that I wasn't getting a vamp anytime soon. And with the channel, people might have wanted to see me review the vamp, and he wanted to hear it, so that's why we did it, right? Jay doesn't watch a lot of other YouTubers, in fact hardly any others, right? For some reason, I don't know if that'll always be his way, but Jay's a unique individual and he likes what he likes, right? So that was the only time I ever borrowed something, is if Jay asks me to borrow it. I will never ask somebody if I can borrow something to do that, right? And when Daredevil Dave, what he offered was access to his Power of the Force collection, which is also something that Jay offered. And I said, no, guys, I'd be all right. I'd be okay, right? There is a story to be told about C3PO that I remember some of the guys talking about back in 2004 when we were in Afghanistan. And I always thought it was a solid point. We're going to revisit this one day, boys. And we never did. And I retired. Some of those guys are cops. Some of those guys are retired. A few of them are no longer with us. So I'm going to revisit this subject for several reasons, and it all stems around what didn't we know about C3PO, or what dots didn't we connect? And some of my friends had some intriguing theories that I'm just kind of regurgitating into my crow skits, right? Remove someone's comments by mistake. Why is that a choice? Sorry, Tripsy, did you remove the comment from one of your videos or something, or did you somehow remove a comment from my stream? I have no idea which problem we had, but if you've been able to remove a comment from my stream, I'm not just impressed. I'm not mad. I'm impressed. But stop. No, if you did it from your own channel, that's for you to protect your channel from toxic comments, right? Like somebody nice comments, and then the next comment is making fun of that person that made the nice comment. You can remove that. So that's why that's there, clearly. But you're graced because it hasn't happened. I've only removed one comment, and it wasn't attacking anything. It was just an ignorant, negligent comment made by somebody who clearly was just joining for the wrong reasons, right? And so that's the only time I ever removed a comment. And most negative comments I think I would leave up there, just because this community, they'll often sort out an issue for you. But anyways, buddy, don't beat yourself up over it. That's one of the topics that was in this little jar I had last night, and I'm keeping this jar around. It was little hot topics to sidebar about. And in there was the trial and error. Don't beat yourself up, right? You're playing around with your channel. You're trying new things. Every now and then you're going to misstep and do something, and you're going to go, crap. Let it go. What was the lesson? That's all. Yeah, that was the lesson. Well, so I just reached into my jar. What is this topic here? Bomb strike, rat ram, and drone stuff. Yeah, so that's actually here. I'm going to talk about this. Okay, so Bomb Strike was the character. I got her in there with the base. I'll pull her out. Whatever. It doesn't matter. I really like that glass display case I got with the lights and whatnot. But it is a thing I need to find a proper home for. And it does require one of the two outlets I have for I only have 2 plugs for this area in this entire garage. This rental piece of shit I hate. But it's always a trade-off. Do I want light? Do I want heat? Do I want what? I got to pick 2 things and go with it. So Bomb Strike is one of those ones that I said wasn't done. I got to take this little cello thing off of her. It was just for the skip. Because I wanted her to have a drone, and she was one of my ram rats, ram rat riders. And Woody, if you're there, I'm loving yours, man. So trying to get a couple of ram carts together, because Aaron threw these in here because he had no need for them anymore after he had taken the cannons and applied them to a Chevy, which basically now wins all arguments. Which would you rather have? You're stuck in the mud in the winter, and you're off-roading, and which would you rather have, Ford Bronco or this or that and this and that and this? And it's going to be Aaron's Chevy every time, because I'll just blow the shit out of everybody else and take their winch cables and get myself out of the situation. It doesn't matter what their axles are like, or tire pressures, or diffs, whatever. So he didn't need them. He had like 27,000% firepower more on them, and it was fine. If they were orange ones like the Tiger Force were, I would have had to repaint them anyways. And it gave me an opportunity to say, well, then what do you do with these if you don't have the guns for them? And I love little logic problems like that. I'm big on having a long list of boundaries and constraints that aren't mission related. It's like serious, they're just fun, and then trying to work my way around them. Let's see this one. My favorite line, there we go, is just when he goes, and they accidentally fly my thing. Creature's mouth. Yeah. I did, hey, there's Loki Wartooth. This is your daily default mode. Yeah. I was going through some of 3PO's best quotes recently too, and there was one that I really liked, and it was why were we made to suffer? See, when you know what I know about 3PO, and only Canadians know this from our special CBC memberships, then yeah, that's a definitely bruised line, man. That's your heartstrings on a pulley on that one. So yeah, I'm thinking about what I originally was going to do. Is I have this little flying drone that I found in the woods when me and Emerson were building shelters for when the government comes. No, we were just doing that for hobby. Somebody had lost one of their aerial drones and footage and whatnot, and it was pretty banged up. It looked like it had been there for maybe a year or 2 in the underbrush. Felt bad for the guy, but she weren't going to fly no more, right? And I was never going to be able to find the owner, so I kept the thing. And now I have a new project idea for it, because I forgot I had it for the last 7 or 8 months. Initially, I was looking at the camera on it and going, if I could pull it, maybe I could center it here, and this could be like part of the serve suite, because like a lot of the surveillance packages we have are dependent on a lot of different kind of camera systems, either a night vision capable like the Noddler, the FLIR, and all these other things, or magnification day cams, targetry cams, laser designations, things like that. So, hey, brother, yeah, there we go. So, sorry, I get you up there, Loki. So I was going to try and do a ball cam on that, but the one I had on that drone, it was going to be a bitch to take off, and B, it wasn't going to work. So I'm going to go and really consider this. The other thing I was thinking about is I wanted to find a drone. It was, the Bomb Strike drone from the action figure. I've been sent a picture of a really great Bomb Strike. Sorry, I got to find that one, because that was, there's my tablet. One of our subscribers and friends to the channel. Yeah, everything's falling on the Crow Show. So, Punk, don't make a big deal about it when one thing falls over there, because if you make a big deal about it, everybody will notice how often it happens on my show, and I'll never grow. Yeah, I'm gonna find the picture of his bomb strike. It's in my Gmail here. Sorry, but I'm live. I don't care. I can take my time and show you what kind of got me on that one. And I was like, he's right though. We do need this, and I gotta go find it. So let me go attachments. And oh man, where's the attachments? With attachments. So yeah, anyway, sorry, the bomb strike, it was his drone blew my mind, and at first I thought it was, is that a 3D print? And he was like, nope. And then here it is, Lou Brown. Why is it not showing the bomb strike now? This is weird, Lou. All right, well, I do have the picture of bomb strike saved. I'll pull that up. But Lou used this Soldier Force Predator drone, and it worked so well with his bomb strike. So now I'm going to find his bomb strike, because whatever's going on with my Gmail, it's not smarter than me. And when I save a picture, I save it somewhere. And I will find this because it's in my recents here, because I was sure to save it because I wanted to find that Predator, which led me down the rabbit hole that eventually linked me up with a lot of other little toys here and there. But that, whatchamacallit, what is it? G.I. Joe's and Beards, his channel, one of the ones he's on there. Oh my gosh, you know what it is? It even deleted off my saves. I think because it was sent to me. Oh, no, it is. There we go. Okay, never mind. It did not. So here we go. Lou's bomb strike, and you can see it next to the mech. So I'm assuming Lou's in Aaron's mech contest, right? Loki, you do you, buddy? Okay. I also have some ideas, but yeah, we'll work a drone into my next order. But I'm gonna have to do a order with you and a supplemental order depending on what I come up with Grievance here. But we'll work that out, buddy. Your time has come. I'm gonna start working this out with you, because the wave is done as I see it. All the stuff is on the shelf. The only pre-order I'm coming up across next is my Scarlet. Everything's manageable. I will sum things up with my buddy Jay, and I'm going back to 3D printing and getting some different things there. But I've got to get on this this Crimson Castle, right? And so the bomb strike he had, and there you go. That's it with the drone there. It was a really good bomb strike too. Like, I loved his cam pat on his pants, right? You'll notice I do a lot of people like to see how other people approach Campat. So I like to see how other people approach it as well. And I like the simplicity, but the diversity of that Campat, right? Like different kinds of designs and whatnot. And I was showing the other night for Hush and others there, like, if you've got no military experience and you really don't know what kind of Campats are out there, just do a Google Rabbit search. Save a picture to your phone, put that phone in front of you, and just reference it as best as you can. That's all I ever do. I do have types of Campats I prefer for than others, but the challenge is, and this is why I'm not the best at Campats, but I can switch it up, is there's so many different types. Why restrict yourself to only learning one that you're comfortable with? Learn others. So I'll always try doing different types, right? You saw a great tiger stripe. Yeah. Tiger stripe is one that a lot of people will look at, because how do you criticize Tiger Force, and then when you're doing it, you can't think of a single tiger stripe pattern that works, right? So pardon me for eating, guys. Pardon me for doing a lot of things, but this is what it is when I'm doing some of these lives. It's going to be relaxed. I'll dip off camera to check on a fire or something. But right now, we're going to do a hush hangouts moment. So that's for the V2 rock and roll, because I'm feeling bad. Hush is one of the things that Hush wanted me to do more of, and he likes, because of the visual impairment, because he's trying to take a more active interest in this hobby and do stuff, is the painting stuff, right? And when I sit down to do a painting video, it always turns into something else. Made it to a Saturday live. You did, buddy. And you are such a hot topic. So we're going to talk a little bit about V2 rock and roll. That's Bomb Strike's hat. We'll put that over there. Like I was saying, I had to correct the cam pat I was doing the other day on the rock and roll Swindo. I do have another rock and roll Swindo Snyder cut kind of coming out where it's actually going to be about rock and roll, not Duke. But I am working on those two figures concurrently. But what I had initially done with this guy is I had worked the cam pat very tight with this color of brown over the dark olive, and then I wanted to separate it with the ochre. And I kind of jumped a step. I should have laid the ochre first and then put the lighter over. So everything I had done the other day, I had to go back over with the ochre. And the ochre is not a very thick coat on there. You can see it's weakly shining through. And hush, I'm not worried about that, right? Because where I'm going to try and make my details pops is where I first try and get the center of the ochre filled in with a bit of that brown, like a stripe across, a filling. And then I'm going to break it back up again with that dark brown. And when I get done, I'm just going to work on the area of this torso while I ramble on and let the chat kind of do its thing. It won't take me very long, and then we'll just see how that turns out while we go. Let me draw a topic from the hat that we can talk about today. As I do that, I just got to make sure, do I have my tan there? I don't even have my tan there. I haven't even mixed any. So this tan I'm using, I've shown it before. I have a lot of leftover airbrush supply paints, and I have a lot of normal supply on the brush paints. And with my airbrush down and me not feeling too pressured to get it up and running again, because I don't know, there's a disconnect when you airbrush from, I feel like, some of it, but I will get it going again. There it is, desert. I can extend the life of my paints by mixing them, right? Yeah, you're right, buddy. Yeah, you would be, Jay. I'm totally a shill for Loki because Loki's just another blue collar dude, you know, taking the punches life has thrown at him, and he's trying to keep that positive attitude and do something to keep himself on top, right? There's an example to be had, and people like that. And yeah, it's shilling, I guess, because he, you know, it's for his business and things like that. But I won't do that for everybody, right? I know a lot of people's stories that I don't do that for, right? And it's not because I don't like them or maybe I don't go to their business. It's they're just not the people that the community needs to know about. A guy like Loki is somebody that I think the community needs to know is out there. That is an option when you're trying to affordably learn stuff and do stuff and you want to explore stuff. But moreover, and this isn't something that a lot of guys know about Loki, and you're Loki, you're gonna blush. No, you're not. But like I know Jay probably doesn't know it. And I know he's saying these things in the nicest way because it gives me an opportunity to talk about you, right? So he's getting drunk right now, and it's really early. It's not even noon yet. Yeah, see, you agree. Now I'm just being a smart ass, not hating. No, but it's good because maybe some of the newer guys are going, why is this guy's coming up so much? He's supplying them. And they get the idea, they go, oh, I see how that works. And it's not how that works. But one of the things people don't know about Loki is he doesn't want to be your sole proprietor of 3D parts or anything about this hobby. He just wants to help you achieve your vision. And if you like coming back to him, he would love repeat business. But if you're somebody who has questions about how to approach things, he's a guy that likes to share the wisdom, right? So it's not just a customer relationship with Loki, it's a community relationship, right? And that's the difference. That's why I'll talk about him. I'll buy things from other people too, but I don't find everybody's geared like that when they're trying to make their business work. Sometimes your priority is to make your business work. Loki's priority has never seemed like that to me. It seems like it's always been he really loves these toys. Yeah. And Loki, yeah, speaking of, gotta send some stuff. You know, how many minutes in? I'm already 40 minutes into this live. Are you kidding me? I'm mixing my desert and my pale to get that thing that I'm going to work on, rock and roll. But let's talk about Grievance's toy then. I gotta get those questions ready for him. But what I'm picturing right now is a Frank Castle, Crimson Punisher, and I can't help but get around the idea of the Saw Viper, right? Like it's kind of in line with it. There you go. Yeah, J Astro, Loki. If you're reading some of those ones, anything to do with that would make an interesting, funny, sexy little Baroness. Yeah, we're all in for that. You know, Aaron the Toy Answer is probably like, I'm driving right now. Me, get me sexy Baroness, somebody. Yeah, yeah, exactly, guys. But the Saw Viper, we know Hasbro's coming with one, same as the Frag Viper. Definitely more excited about the Saw Viper than the Frag Viper. I'll tell you that today, right now, and it'll be the same opinion I have a year from now, I'm sure. So I wanted to check with Grievance. Is that what he pictures, or does he want something outside the norm on that? Like the crimson idea is just the color, and it's the contrast, and it's the idea of seeing the red black of Frank Castle's notorious skull, his Punisher skull. And I get that. And he wants to see Cobra emblems worked in with that whole theme, right? Which I think I have a workaround that achieves that, and I want to talk about him with it. But what am I not seeing about Frank Castle, Crimson Guard or Crimson Cobra, and that isn't what you call it? What you call it? Oh, Aaron is driving there. I knew it. I knew it. Is there something I should be seeing besides the Saw Viper, guys? Is perhaps the Alley Viper more a Frank Castle thing? Because I was telling you, I happened to buy another Alley Viper because it is softly one of my most favorite Cobras that just stands out. But I realized the figure's not perfect and everything. And then, you know, there's a better Alley Viper in the Crimson one. I'll say that design worked out even better. But I kind of got it with the in case one of the guys who had asked for a heavy armor kind of conversion. I wanted that prepared, right? And you guys are just living up the chat on the female body. That's fine. But I'm gonna keep going with that because I am curious as I go through the Joe lore if there's something that I'm missing that might suit Frank Castle as a Cobra guy better. And I was thinking about, how does that work? How do we get a Frank Castle into Marvel or into G.I. Joe? And the other night I mentioned, well, first off, you have to understand that at any point Marvel is kind of canon with G.I. Joe because of what they did with G.I. Joe a long time ago. They had Scarlet meet the Hulk. They've had Joe crossover, and they've met people before. Not often though, thank goodness, because it's not a premise that really works well for me to have superheroes and then elite military forces in there. To me, the military forces would just sit back and retire because, look, Thor's got Cobra Commander by the throat, and they've killed another Cobra Commander. You can no dental records from Uru's hammer, things like that, right? It doesn't work. But a guy like Frank Castle and the way that they did him in the comics, and then they did him real solid in that Netflix series for Daredevil and his own. It's just one of those, okay, if you were to fit into Joe, you have to kind of just live in a world and pretend you don't see all the heroes, right? But with Marvel doing all that multiverse stuff, I mean, I'm not even worried about that lore. I'm kind of just more worried about how Grievance wanted to see it, because that multiverse stuff that they did just kind of opened the door to every piece of ridiculousness out there. And I really hope the new Deadpool puts a stop to it and ends it, because it's fun for a little while, but then it just becomes your easiest explanation for everything, right? Like what I asked earlier. How is it the Punisher becomes a villain? And me and Aaron and 3-Star were like the two default answers. Dr. Mindbender brainwashed him, or it's Zartan. Okay. Yeah, retro. Captain America, that's an interesting one too. Yeah, Cobra's commander sits there. Yeah. Shockwave would make a great buck for Castle. That is a good idea too. Yeah, I'll consider that. I might know where I can get a good deal on one of those, and I have been thinking about picking up another one to fix that shield because I just didn't want to do it to the one I had. I like the one I had. I didn't want to mess with this kit, but I really want to fix that shield. But yeah, retro Snake Eyes. Although if I got my hands on a retro Snake Eyes, I'm not like a second one. I have mine. I just know too many people that have a hard time finding it. I'm not sure. I think Aaron got his or he didn't. He's got a Snake Eyes on the shelf that looks like the retro Snake Eyes, but I'm not sure that's it. I thought I heard him say he didn't, but yeah, retro Snake Eyes is good for conversions, but bad for conversions, and that it's pretty exclusive out where I am. Crossbones, yeah, and of course Marvel Legends. Of course, they're doing a lot in my conversions. It's just inevitable. It's people can have opinions about it. You can have your criticisms. You can frown upon it, but the math is simple, right? When you're doing conversions, eventually it breaks down to a combination of the vision meets reality and availability. And if you can't meet one of those criteria, then eventually something has to get reworked, right? So yeah, okay, yeah, Marvel Legends, it's a default. Maybe there's a judgment about how easy it is, but that doesn't change the math. They're good figures for building on because that's exactly what Joe did. Joe took the same articulation generally as a Marvel Legends figure and added layers to it to add up detail of clothes instead of costumes, kit instead of nothing, right? So while Joes are less articulate because of these things, sometimes Marvel Legends remains basically the guts inside of a Joe, right? So yeah, Marvel Legends is always great for that. You think a lot of people are using that? Is there a magical place, another Ross or an Ollie's or something that I'm not aware of where the retro card figures up until not this way, but the previous issues of their availability, is there a place where they just kind of land magically and go on a clearance sale so ridiculous that you would do that conversion with the Snake Eyes? Like for me, it's not a question of the creativity. You can use that character all day for so many things. Absolutely. And it's not a question of should. Yeah, you absolutely should. If you can generate anything with your mind and make it reality, do it. But it was more like, was it that available somewhere that seemed practical to some people? That's interesting, right? All right. I think it's time to, while I do this, show you guys something I forgot to mention that was in the 360 prize pool, right? And I have 3 packages I got to send out. All right. And these are ridiculous little things that I got to throw in the prize pool, and I never really mentioned it. And I tested the waters with Aaron, the toy enhancer, to see if he bought any of these. So, Aaron, in the comments, when you pull the car over at some point today, let me know if you do need these because these are on sale in my area, and I would love to. I think these will fit in the box perfectly to sum up that box. Same as you, Loki, because Aaron and Loki and I are constantly mailing each other stuff, and for them, I have a box going out soon of stuff that I've been owing them for a little while there because they've been so kind and generous with this. So these are in the 350 prize that I don't think I ever mentioned. Congratulations again, Grievance. But these world's smallest, the micro action figures. So he's won the only 3 I can get of that line. He's got himself, and I have these. You might have seen them at some point. He's got himself a little Duke and a little Roadblock and a little Snake Eyes there. And you can take those out of the packages and pop open that case. The back of them pop open with a little gate. And okay, Loki, for sure, I'll get you a set. And I'm assuming, Aaron, you need them too, right? I'll grab them for you guys there. And I'll grab some more for future prizes as well, guys. Because right now at Toys R Us, they're kind of clearing them out and they're not moving. So I can get them for affordable. Every Big Thursday, I'll try to remember and try and get stocked up on a few more of these. But yeah, these are the only 3 available. Duke, Snake Eyes, Roadblock. I was kind of hoping there would be other stuff, but there's not. But yeah, on the back, it's a little gatefold, so you don't have to damage the character casing. But just be warned, as I found out, right? All their little Ma Deuce and tripods and helmets and backpacks, if you can picture how how big these are in a little poly bag behind the figure. So put them in a little tray if you're going to open them and try and set them up. And if you are going to open them and set them up, buddy, I'd almost recommend gluing them or leave them in the box, stick them next to Sergeant Slaughter's fig. Show Sergeant Slaughter once again his figure is the smallest among the four, and watch him lose his shit. So Grievance, you got a set of those coming to you. Loki, Aaron, the same, and any more will be in a future contest. I've got some more contest prizes I want to tell you. Not gonna open them, buddy? Yeah, I opened mine. There we go. Okay, good. It was a good call. I opened mine because I intended to get more to not open. They are clearing them out. So now that I've said they're clearing them out, it's going to end up like the Barbie stuff, right? Where I show up and there's only 2 left on the shelf. Thank God I got them, but I can't get the rest. What? No. Patience with that. Barbie jet skis in there, Grievance. I'm also going to try and get you some kayaks and some other stuff. Until this box is ready to go, Grievance, those things, it's going to be a what I find is what I find. And Aaron and I and Loki, we've mailed each other enough parcels that they can speak to this, all right? Just because Buddy tells you what's in the box and shows you everything in the box, sometimes at the last second they go, oh my God, that's a great idea, and the box is still open. Let's do it. That could very well happen, buddy. And I am a 50-year-old senile content creator that's trying to have that, take advantage of being unpredictable, buddy. You don't know. You don't know, right? Grievance also got himself this. Pardon me again for having a piece of melon, guys, but I need to get my diet back up. My Hero Academia. This great little stage, which you can tell by the box, it looks like it's smaller than it ends up being because what they've done is they put the 2 halves and stacked them, but it's actually like this friggin' big, right? And it has some flame effects, and it's got a little joke of a manga figure in there. Maybe you can do something funny and send us a picture of him getting his ass kicked by your Frank Castle. I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Right. Loki did this last time, right? Constantly, one, we are all very patient with each other when we're sending stuff out. Thank God, because I'm as bad as anyone. Going, yeah, hang on, man, because the box I picked is this big, and your stuff is this big, and I want to fill up this stuff, and then you end up doing this, and then now I gotta find a bigger box, and now I gotta. No, you mentioned this, so I gotta put. And it takes a while, right? So no one's ever in a rush. We love this part of the community where it's just kind of surprising each other randomly sometimes. So I want to make sure the prize reflects that as well. So he's also going to get that custom wall that I'm going to work on, and I wanted to talk about that for a second. So the 500 prize is that's for Power of the Force. Hey, Legend Series, excellent. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you there. I was just surfing your Insta today, looking at some of those photos, guys. If you haven't checked out Legend Series and his stuff there, toy photography being his deal, man. I wish he was in my spare room, because all my sets and a lot of my stuff would be so much better, and then I could just utilize them for Power of the Force and get them to do the whole setup for me as opposed to my way of doing it. But guys, this subscriber wall that I'm working on and everything like that, I have to go through my subscriber list and find new names to throw on there, and I just haven't gotten around to it. Projects are stacking up, life is stacking up, and home stuff is stacking up, but I will. And that's going to be the 500 contest prize, right? There we go. Everybody's saying hi, and Loki, I guess, has been looking for you, Legend. So it's good you showed up, buddy. So I'm not thinking really past 500 at this point. It's just, like those small milestones I keep saying. I have a milestone for pretty much every 50 where I kind of like go and I I get naked and I flex in the mirror and I tell myself yeah, you're 50, but man, just today you're 22. All right, all that stuff, but I'm not going to make videos about all of them, but every now and then one of your milestones pops up and you're going to do something about it and you're kind of planning for it, right? So for me, it was 350, it was 200, and it's 500, right? And I think some of you guys are 50, 150, 350, 5, or anything like that. And I think those are all reasonable. And just so long as they don't have a timed clock on them, perfect, right? So while I want to give the subscriber wall away on a 500 contest, what that actually means is I have to build a better 1,000 contest at some point, don't I? Right? And Aaron is a gifted individual with his contest because Aaron don't care, about the after effects of any of it. He's like, you know what? In this contest, I'm going to build you a Zartan layer. And he'll pour his heart and soul into that very special reward that he wants that he wants that winner to feel like that's the Lotto Max or the 649 as far as Joe prizes. And he's done an more than effective job of doing that. But people never think about the follow-on effects of that, right? Like, I won't talk about how much it's going to cost him to ship that or the problems with that. He's talked about that, and I'm sure people know about it, right? But he went into it mouth wide open, but so was his eyes, right? And went, oh, it's fine. Chewed it down, ready to go next contest. And what's he saying? I got to top the last one, right? And that's the problem. Where's your boundaries when you run a contest, guys? Maybe we'll spend a second talking about that, right? I hope I win the next, but it would be nepotism. Yeah, no, buddy, you're way down there in, I believe you are in Louisiana, if I remember right. I'm up here in Ontario, right? The only contest, I've run 2 contests and they've both gone extremely uniquely, and maybe that's what we should all expect. You can't predict, right? The first contest, Digital Diarrhea won that, and then when I sent them the prize, I thought everything was done, and then Digital Diarrhea wound up hooking me up with some exclusive figures, both as a kindness, and then he gave me a really great deal on the eel before everybody else was realizing the eel was as overpriced as it was because of the retro. But now, even with the retro coming out, the deal he got me on that eel, I was like, thank you, let's do that. That's weird to me. It's weird that a prize winner returns a kindness even larger. But I mean, I swallowed it and I was like, cool. The next contest will be easier. So I did this contest about doing conversions. I thought, you want to do this, that, the other thing. You're like, okay, wait. One, how about you just leave it at a simpler prize? And then as you go, you can update that prize, but don't come out the gate hard, right? And I think at the time it was a figure and some drawings or something smaller, and I kept adding to it, right? I think that's good advice. Feel it out as you go. Stay within your means. I wouldn't have offered a prize package that A, I wasn't prepared to spend some money for and deal with, or B, spend the time on, right? I'm retired. I know I have time to work on conversions. I know I have time to go through that entire frustration phase where I'm like, oh my God, it's not working. Oh, this whole thing's falling apart. And not have to go beep, boop, beep, beep, grievance. I can't do it. Your prize, you can't do it. Right? Like, you have to consider your boundaries and limitations. You hear me using these terms from the military a lot because they're useful, right? So a limitation and a constraint, right? So a limitation is something that's been opposed on you by something you can't control, right? So the size of the figure is a limitation. The size of the surface you're working on, I only get so much shirt to work with. That space is pretty limited. That's a limitation, right? A constraint is something that is put on you, or you put on yourself, that can be changed if you look at it and deal with the problem, right? So my constraints right now is I only have so much paint, right? I only have so much primer. I only have so much time. I could ask for more time. Things like that, right? Like if you look at it these ways, so that's why when I was telling Daredevil Dave, I enjoy having limitations and constraints on some things like my Power of the Force video and things like that, because it's kind of what I am. Oh, hey, we've got a new person in the chat. I'm not sure if I've ever seen you in my chat or whatnot, but We've got the Trash Picture Show. Do you think we'll ever see a declassified killer whale after getting the vamp? I'm assuming you just mean classified. Declassified, sure. I worry about the day we do, because we'll all be so excited. But a lot of us will turn out being single because there's no way that they won't capitalize on every feature they can doing that. And that's going to be a massive price point. And I think that's going to end up it has to be a HasLab because of the size and everything like that. But in the God's honest truth, I don't think we're ever going to see that whale. I really don't. And I think it goes along with what Lenny had mentioned about terrain pieces and play sets and things like that. For the cost of the plastics, you have to weigh how many figures is that a consumer's not buying to buy that one vehicle worth of plastics. Is that revenue better to have? And also, why are people buying these things to collect and display or to play? Yeah, that amazing to collect, and for your organized collectors and things like that. Your rich millionaires, your celebrities having a whale on the shelf, probably got lots of room. But most average collectors are going to get limited by the time they're getting through their vamps, their HMSs, their Hispanics. I don't know if the whale can do it. I just kind of think they're going to have to keep passing on that. Maybe we'll just see it. A lot of focus, I think, will be given to the whale in the line they're doing with Transformers. If you look at, they did the Dreadnought Thunder Machine. I think they're doing the Marauder Triple T. I could easily see them doing a massive killer whale for the Transformer stuff. Okay, that's my not classified, but the classified crossover with Transformers. Yeah, let's talk about that, Bobby. I saw that same video. Iron Ken was, I think, talking about it today, and he's kind of on the same wavelength I am a little bit on that one, where it was like, listen, Hasbro, and I don't agree with everything he said. It's not, Hasbro will still make their Skyhawk. They'll make it. They'll make it so that they'll do something with it that 3D printers either couldn't anticipate, couldn't color properly. They'll do features that you won't be able to get with your 3D prints, because the bottom line is sometimes that 3D print is available because it augments Joe. Sometimes it's available because it's replacing something of Joe. But if you notice, when something replaces Joe before, like something that you make on a 3D print that shows up and then Joe makes it, you find a way to have both. You don't care. You get a good deal on a 3D print version of it, and you put a lot of care and organizing it, painting it, getting it all set up, and then they come up with their version of it. There's room for both on your shelf, I find. But some people get bitter about it, I guess. I don't know. Do it the control panels. There you go. Exactly. Control. Oh, your control panels. Turkish Murphy, that's right. Yeah, your control panels. My God. I can't wait. I'm not sure what the guys have done with them so far. I'm sure they're gonna show up in a feature video at some point for everybody who gets them. I'm told I have one on the way, Turk, and if that I thank you, buddy. I gotta think of something to show you my thanks, buddy. So I made sure that, and if that's being sent, I think one of the other backyard guys has it for me. He's gonna box it up with our usual trade-off stuff or whatever. But I told him, I said I want his address back, right? Because it's just one of those things about the way I was raised and the way I am is like, if somebody does you a kindness, you better find a way to do it back. And I just don't know how to work that with a YouTube channel, right? When it's somebody you see every day or you work with, yeah, you know how to do that. It's just part of who you are. You do it, right? Kindness for kindness, everything like that. But when you're dealing with people you've never met and shook hands with, just talked to on a chat on YouTube, and they're in various parts of the world, well, it all starts with getting their address, apparently, which is fun. It's neat. I love the fact that when I go somewhere and somebody's like, well, why are you looking at this weird figure? Like, why would you even want this weird figure? And it's happened. I'd be like, I've got this friend in Georgia that talks about this, and I think he wants to do something with it. Or I've got this buddy, and he's in Louisiana does this with it, right? Like everything like that. But Loki, what made the last contest weird was that Hush Hangouts was in the final three, and I hadn't told Aaron or anybody to any rules. I just said pick the guys you like. I didn't give them any conditions or asks or anything like that. And I kind of just ignored the fact that my buddy Jay, who is Hush, was in there. And that's why he was the exception, because Jay lives about 5 minutes, 10, no, more like 10 or 15 minutes away from me. And I never want to have that shadow of conspiracy or favoritism or being dubious just to make things easier. Not that I think anybody would do it on this channel, ever. But I didn't like the feel of it. And Jay right away, he didn't like it either. He was like, oh, that's unfortunate. And he would have walked away and just said, this is a friend thing, man. And it's good. I was just happy to get my entry in there and everything like that. But I was like, no, man. To me, he had a 33.33% chance of winning that contest. And me and him agreed to take him out of it and leave it between the two guys. We love you two guys. I love you two guys. Thanks, Turk. Yeah, I'll get back to what I'm going to do with yours, some ideas, but I have to get it in my hands, right? That's the rule. But yeah, no, Jay and I have an issue where I'm going to make a conversion with him, and I'm going to do some stuff with Jay in person because I can, right? And I'll tell you, you know, Jay's a unique cat, right? And not he's the first one to tell you not a lot of guys will get along with me because I'm this way. And it's not because he's not focusing like because I have a visual impairment or because I'm judgmental about Joe or anything like that. It's because Jay has thresholds and tolerances that I'm very used to in a lot of veterans I've worked with over the years. So it doesn't bother me, right? But a lot of people don't know how to take certain characters like that. Guys who are blunt, who are short and concise, who don't really care what your opinion is. If they say something, it's what they're saying, right? And especially in today's culture, when everybody's kind of almost finding or looking for reasons to be offended when they're not busy. Yeah, a guy like that, he struggles to find the social circles he maybe needs to be as content as he could be. So I definitely want to hang with a guy like that because it's mutually beneficial for us. Because to me, a personality like that is very interesting because I go through a lot of those feelings as well sometimes, and I'm fighting them. Um, I fight them really hard, right? And you want to be the nice guy, but man, I'm gonna tell you right now, outside of this channel, most of the days I am the guy walking through the store with I want to get out, get in, get out, get what I'm doing. If somebody wants to make small talk, I want to tell them how pointless and trivial small talk is right now when you see somebody out and about, and tell them politely to go F themselves in the nicest way. I don't have that kind of time, even though what I do have is nothing but time. Because what it actually breaks down is I don't have threshold for bullshit. I just don't, right? Not anymore. I used to be able to handle a lot of people's bullshit. People could just do whatever, say whatever, and I just be like, whatever, water off a duck's back. But the one bullshit I couldn't take was people monopolizing my time. And this is the irony of it, right? So what do? I hop on YouTube. I make lengthy videos about G.I. Joe and simple interest, toy hobby, stuff like that. And I monopolize people's time. And I don't even feel bad about it. And I don't feel bad about having an asshole opinion sometimes. Because when asked to engage, I will be the most polite, most civil, most considerate person you've ever met, right? When I'm prepared to. But if you catch me unprepared on my day-to-day and ask me for that extra strength of patience because you're being a dick to me or because you're not using common sense and I'm calling you on it, we're not going there, right? So I say I'm being genuine on here because this is who I am when I'm by myself and I'm content and I'm happy and I know I can control the people I'm interacting with simply by pressing buttons, right? But this community, it's a mixed bag of people, and I don't know if somebody like Hush who could turn it on and off, Jay, I mean, he's not somebody I don't expect to see live one day. I don't know if you'll ever meet him. only when he ever feels like it would he ever do that, right? But you'll hear me talk about him a lot because he's such a kind guy. Like it's just one of those things where it's like the best book you ever read probably had a rip in its cover, right? And that's all of us. So hey, let's get caught up in. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I tell everybody too. And when you hear me think about these feeling considerations and considerate consideration stuff, um, in the end, it's exactly what Jay says. That's what closes out the conversation, the dialogue in my head about it. It's like it's just YouTube and it's not going to affect you. So just don't worry about it. And why are you doing this if you're going to worry about it, right? So what I do about it is it's not worrying about it. It's making sure I pay it the proper mind and I weigh it. Okay. And this has come up before. I've had messages from like Loki or people who've watched a video, and maybe I'm talking about those considerations and doubts and stuff like this. And I'm forgetting to say they're just like that thought process being expressed. At the end of the day, it's all fine because I'm choosing to do this, right? If the conclusion was ever that I was bothered by it, you wouldn't see me doing it. Got to disconnect, right? Look, you've spoken to Hush. Yeah, exactly. Some of you have spoken to Hush in the chat for sure, and things like that, and that's great, right? I personally I look forward to every time one of my video goes out. I know at some point I'm going to hear from Hush about it, right? From Jay on his terms because he goes about his day with the earbuds in. He listens to me, not necessarily watches me and does stuff and things like that. And there's a few of you like that, and that's perfect, right? That's exactly it. And so when he's participating in the chat, I'm really happy because he's got his phone right there, guys, because he really does have a strong health issue with his vision, and he's had a rough go. But I mean, I know he's involved in something he's enjoying. That's great. Let's get in here. So yeah. So just for him there, Jay, this is how that camo's going in there. What I'm doing is I'm laying that back over the ochre now, and it's breaking it up better. And then later I'll finish that up with doing the other two tones of brown. The other thing I'm working on this week, and I started mentioning it more, a couple more quick and dirty backdrop pieces without much functionality, but these are going to be the most complicated of them all. And they're not that complicated. It's just more procrastination. So I'm doing these and off the idea of the mean dog, right? These Legend Series and I were talking about these the other night. He's playing with the turtle vans, and I want to see some of that stuff because I'm trying to find one at the thrift stores that's banged up that I can get cheap and do my way with rather than buy a new one and rip everything apart. Taking side guts off and things like that. I've gone through screwdriver pieces. I got my screwdriver out, pulled these pieces out. Notice that there's some salvageability idea in the idea of a side panel plate that can go back in for posability of figures, right? So that might be somewhere like a pose point for a Joe hanging on the sides and things like that. One of the things I'm trying to tackle today is dealing with the low bed area, getting that laid out to see what kind of fits are there and just how much cross compatibility it would have. The idea being is basically I want to be able to utilize this as a troop carry centerpiece where I can put a couple Joes sitting in there like the APC used to. But if maybe I don't like that anymore, I'll have a separate insert. Maybe it's got a canopy over it and there's some crates of cargo in there that slides in. And then a separate insert that's just the flatbed and I want to sit my RAM on it. There you go, right? So it's that kind of idea. It's got nothing at all to do with the actual mean dog until I start exploring that insert idea again, right? So initially when I was looking at what could I use as inserts, I thought about those crates that I'm going to do the watchtower out of. They might have worked, but not the way I wanted to. I did some custom ones just out of wood that I can put plastic over. This is just dollar store wood over a Jenga tile board. Not Jenga tile, sorry, domino tile, and then more of that craft piece. And why I did that is I just wanted to size it. And it was a quick and dirty, quick way to size a case. Yeah, thanks. And I got a magnet on the bottom. I'm going to show you a couple tricks I'm doing with magnets lately because that's just a carryover. Shane Brayla is a guy who probably knows magnets very well. If you've ever played 40K, That was something that we had to learn how to do with in order to kind of fight Games Workshop on their properties. Games Workshop, and I'm sure Shane will make a video about this. If you haven't watched Shane's latest video, sorry, Same Time Toy, guys, he did a video on Space Wolves today, and I'm going to promote it a little bit because he said something that resonated with me. But anyways, magnets are a great way to not glue something down necessarily, but have it for cross compatibility. If you already had a good fit, it's just about resting. Magnets, right? So I've got a magnet down there, and that's what I put in that post that I couldn't take away from that stupid shell lift system that this used to have when it was a whole toy. But yeah, that's the premises I'm going off for. But I want to go with those dark browns, and then if we look at the Mad Dog, sorry, the Mean Dog, we're gonna look at the Mean Dog. We're gonna look at Shane's thing, and we're gonna talk about magnets before I go today. Okay. You use magnets on your terrain walls. That's brilliant. Yes. Terrain is a Thank you, Loki. That is a brilliant example of somewhere where magnets are exactly what you want to do because it's giving you all those options, right? And when you're, especially on a YouTube channel or you're just playing with your damn toys, having options is always a wonderful thing. Hey guys, I got 14 people on the chat. I was just as surprised this morning as I was last night by how many people are showing up to these. Thank you so much. If you could do me that solid of just hitting that like if you want to see more of this, and remember, I'm going to plug this a little bit. There's one guy, two guys, three guys I know right now who have already talked to me about, you know what, that let's do a crow's nest, the email thing. Let's do that, right? They want to do the crow's nest with me. The crow's nest is that new idea I kind of had about doing an MTV unplugged dry run of your first live, so you can get a feel for, oh my God, there's people watching me, and it's happening right now, as opposed to on my video where I can kind of control things with editing. And I'll put that out there. It's just an open invite. One of the guys I'm talking to right now, we've just gotten through the fact that we are in the same time zone. We both have kind of open schedules, and we're looking at some things. I'm writing up some questions about that. But one of the things I'm considering is, like, guys, I want you, when we do this together, especially the guys that have never done it before, not so much the experienced guys, I want you to tell me what you want for your very first Go Dry run, right? Like, hey man, I am really nervous about talking about myself, right? Then that gives me something to prep for with you. If it's I don't want to be on there very long, and you only said we're doing 30 minutes and 60, but I just want to try 15. Yeah, man. Let's do 15. Your friends don't care. Your friends are the community. I don't care because I'm your friend and I'm the community. It's whatever you want, right? But as far as topics go, it's whatever also you want to talk about, right? But I've been trying to put a stress on this so people don't think I'm stepping on a boundary here, and I don't want it being misunderstood. This is not your breakout show. I've only got 360 some odd subscribers, guys. I am not a breakout show channel. This is a, hey, this is sometimes worth doing, and advice and things like that. You can take or leave kind of channel. And what this is just like, it's your ability to just know what that's like. And then you're doing that on somebody else's live. So it's not in your channel selection. So when you go to do it, your very first live, if you decide you liked it and you want to do it, you can honestly say on your channel, this is my premiere live, and you wouldn't be lying about it. And you've already got kind of an idea how you're feeling when that thing starts rolling. Okay. That's all I can do. That can help on that, because I'm not great at live. I'm just not nervous about it. That's all. Right. And I can teach that. I can teach that by being same way you teach a kid how to swim. It's like, yeah, jump in, hang on, I'm right there. Look, you're not drowning, and things like that. Not with that intolerant attitude, but it's systemic, right? Yeah, thanks, Loki. I now have 17 in the chat, and I'm wondering what 5 of you even thought this was. No, that's great. Sorry, guys. I'm just having my piece of melon. Going to talk a bit of magnets for a second, and let's quickly talk about Same Time Toys. If you guys haven't checked out Same Time Toys, man, he's making a good push. He's up well over 50 now. He's making that run to 100 right now. But he did a video that really resonated today. It was called My Warhammer Space Wolf Army. As you guys see, there's a bit more buzz going around about the Warhammer stuff. That's a combination between the new McFarlane toys and some of the Joy toys. But it's also something that the conversion guys a lot are kind of buzzing about a little bit, because we've been doing conversions to 40K since the 80s, since the day they marched out. They marched out almost the same time as Joe did, right? But they were smaller. They weren't fun. It was paint and play, build, paint and play. So it was a different kind of market. But conversions were kind of the only way you could make your tabletop game work sometimes, because sometimes companies were too small and their rules weren't reflective in their models, and somebody with a little bit of artistic talent and some time on their hands could always do a better job as this game grew, right? That's what it was, and to be a gamer of the 80s and the 90s, right? And I'm sure same time toys would agree. Space Marines was one of those armies, right? So as you got going, the game evolves and the miniatures do their best to catch up as it developed in popularity. This was its first 10, 20 years of it. You know, it was constantly, here's your new rule book for your army. Look at all these interesting characters, and this will allow them to do this. And you get a mental picture of what it's supposed to look like, and then you find out they never have a model for it. Or the models they have for it are actually much older and don't even actually have the representation of the new description for that unit. So you have to do some converting. And if you've ever worked with miniatures, I mean, they're not as small as our roadblock here, right? But they're definitely not this. They're about the size of your thumb on average or less. Just like Same Time was showing us on his channel today with his Space Marines. Now, if you can get used to putting more than 4 colors on that surface in logical places, and we know what they are, that's the beginning of being able to work on a very small area, right? But most Warhammer players that are really invested in their army can put up to like 20 to 30 colors and shades and washes, maybe more, onto that little surface, right? So ask us how we feel about doing G.I. Joe conversions. It's like moving into a bigger house and asking yourself, well, this picture's got to get hung somewhere. There's just so much to do and so much space that you just kind of, it opens you up. That's how I've been finding it. But one of the restrictive things about Warhammer 40K that I've constantly been criticizing them about came up in this Space Wolves army, and Same Time Toys made mention to it. He pointed out all these lovely soldiers in his front row, which is probably a cumulative, what's he got, 2, 3, 4. I'm looking just with the highlight of blue guys and these red guys or black guys. I got to do the American conversion now, 61. It's about $350 to $400 worth of infantry just in the middle sections of that front row. He waved his hand in front of it. We just finished seeing all the work he put into it, and we know what the financial investment is generally. And I can't use them. They're not allowed anymore in gameplay. They are useless. These are paperweights, right? The reason being is because that is one of the most sinister friggin' things a game company can do to a collective market, right? Sell you a product for 5 to 10 years at a rate, at a price. It's not a small product, it's a medium product, and it gets routine use. You've made it critically important. Any army that wants to play that game and compete, if they're playing that particular army, will need that unit. So competitive players, I've learned with Warhammer 40K and other tabletop army scale building games that it's not about one unit, it's about redundancy. And I'm big on that because I'm military. That was what about the rat rams. When Aaron sent me those free rams, and he sent me 2, I was like, this guy really knows, really has good instincts with me, because 1 is satisfying, but 2 is realistic patrol, fire, movement, right? So every game player knows about redundancy and fire movement. And what ends up happening is they buy multiples of these units at $60 to $100 a pop. They get to play them, paint them. They invest probably another $100 worth of paints and parts into that and all that stuff. And they even buy other units to support them. And then Games Workshop goes, cool, let's invent something new. Let's take that really well, good seller. Let's take it off the market for 10 years and make it unplayable. So Buddy buys like 500 or more dollars worth of an army, and over half of it becomes unplayable, wasted, sits on the shelf. They can't use it. Imagine if I sold you an exclusive classified figure, like say we got Raptor. Let me see if I can win this to give you some perspective. We made Raptor a troop builder. We made Raptor critical to the lore of Joe in that, whatever. For whatever reason, the kit that he has, the way the figure is, and the way, the new cartoons and the new comics, Raptor becomes like this new Cobra Commander Destro super villain. Everybody fucking needs him. Everybody does that and everything like that. And for 20 years, everybody buys Raptor, right? And they're like, my God, I didn't like Raptor, but when you get 10 Raptors on the shelf, it's so powerful, whatever. And you've done that, you've had all your logic, and then somebody comes along and goes, the retcon, there was never a character called Raptor, and we won't even acknowledge it. In fact, this Raptor is going to be a woman. She's going to be complete other ethnicity and doesn't even fly, right? And you're like, then what's this? That is useless, right? That's just on a collector scale, but on a gaming scale, that's taking away your entire ability to play the game as well with the army, right, that you bought. So, pardon me, guys. The reason I get amped up about that is because I see Shane and what he's holding back on those videos, because he loves 40K. We do, right? Everybody who's ever touched 40K, there is at least one thing, if not everything, they loved about it. But the company that dealt it, my God, you couldn't find a more offensive business strategy than what they used, right? And I have been having nightmares of me investing more money into a company that suddenly goes like that, right? Magnets, guys. This is a little solution I made to Loki Wartooth. I had this little minigun he gave me, but it was more for I think a 4-inch scale size. The handle wasn't big enough for a hand. It was clearly a smaller scale. But I looked at those barrels and I looked at the layout and I was like, it's a good print. The barrels are not 7.62, they're not 5.56, but they are good enough to be 9mm. So I'm making a 9mm little Gatling cannon, right? But I got to build up on this. So I've got my little part laid out. I'm going to build upon that. But there's your magnets right there in case I ever decide I don't like that and I want to salvage this or that or the other thing. Magnets, but also because I'm going to want to have a strap of ammo at some point, like even just 9mm ammo or a separate drum. And now I've got something that's magnetized here. So if I want to use something, I can just have it clipped on there. I can have it removable is where I'm going with that, right? Magnets are a genius. I wouldn't say a genius approach. They're a common approach and they're a thinking man's problem, right? 40K released a lot of model kits with a lot of variants and then not many side pieces with the kits they sold you. So they were kind of leaning you to a point where in order to have all the options, say for a massive robotic killing machine like a dreadnought, and you wanted to have all the weapons options for it, they made it so that you had to keep selling it more money, right? They find their way to do that. So what a lot of gamers got used to was picking up magnets and magnetizing weapons bits so that when they got that exact same auto cannon that worked for this model and now it's going to work for this model, they don't have to go out and buy as much if they don't want to when it's about one piece, right? So magnets are fun for conversions. Loki uses them for walls. Yeah, basically magnets have 1,000 uses for a hobby, right? And you can get different sizes. And you can go to a hobby store. You can buy really teeny tiny magnets for like all sorts of gaming stuff, and you'll pay for it. They're not expensive, but they're not cheap. Like you'll pay $40 for maybe a line of maybe 30 to magnets or less, right? They'll be tiny, but they'll be good. Or if you're an ad hoc guy like me, you can salvage things like fridge magnets that just end up everywhere and you don't even use them on your fridge. I just crack them out of their initial shells and add them to the pile of magnets. My rolling papers for my medicine, that uses a magnet that I always keep, and that was the one that the little silver ones on the side of the rat rams there that I was making. Things like that. Those are magnets that you can use. Hang on. Loki Wartooth is another guy who contributed to the 350 prize that I just wanted to remind Grievance. I have a bunch of parts sitting aside when I went go through things of cool parts that I got to give away, right? I'm not giving like a myriad of it because, I need to show Loki's stuff more regularly, but Loki Wartooth is going to be my go-to for a lot of the Crimson Cobra Frank Castle thing I'm doing for Grievance, the winner. What I wanted to check was I'm not going to go pulling apart stuff I've already done to try and speedball this for Grievance. All right, I'll take my time. One thing I want to know from Grievance, if he watches this video, or I'm going to show him in the questions as well. This is a vest Loki had sent me last time, right? It's a Punisher tack vest. These are that same kind of, I'd say, Warbler type material, at least, if I remember right. But this one was, this one was different. It was transparent when I got it. Anyways, when we're talking about that Punisher skull, I mean, I don't think there's any way to get around a conversion that doesn't put that Punisher skull slap in the middle, right? But Grievance, is this a vest that you already have in your collection? Because I know that you've gotten some 3D print parts from others. And Loki, is this the only Punisher tack vest from that supplier? Does the other suppliers have them? So I need to sort out between Loki, Grievance, and myself. One, does he want a 3D printed head of a particular Punisher, or is he trusting the Crow to do a Punisher that looks like a Punisher and convert it, things like that? But the vest is a big one. I mean, after that, me and Grievance can post it all out, but I need do a little bit of coordination on there. So I just wanted to talk about that Punisher vest, and there's another reason thing there, right? So, Grievance, you are in the chat, right? Good old Big Brawler, right? Remember when I did Big Brawler and I did my wreckage, and I did them up as my Tiger Force 2-pack to kind of joke about how Hasbro had the tripwire and Roadblock 2-pack, right? Well, I was watching another channel, and they were doing what they do, where they talk about what's going to come out, and they are, reasonably sure, and they're criticized for such, and they got my respect and everything like that, but sometimes my faith wavers in them, and I know that they don't have a lot of the respect of our guys in our community, and I understand why. I've seen some of it, I've agreed, but I watch things for different reasons, and I don't bear personal malice against these guys. Plus, they're Canadian. But anyways, they started talking about their predictions again. And guys, I'm going to tell you right now, don't beat their door down and do things like this. But to call out a Night Force 2-pack as something insightful at this point is like saying it's going to snow sometime between November and February in Alaska. It's like, yeah, all the writing's on the wall. Now all you're doing is playing a guessing game as to which repaints and all of this. And then it's a crapshoot. But moreover, there's this score sheet going against the calls on these guys, and I'm just like, when does one read that and go, I should probably approach that differently, right? Maybe not do these calls, maybe not state the obvious, like it's an epiphany. I've never had an epiphany before. Oh my god. Anyways, I got that. I can't claim credit for that. I heard that on the radio. I loved it. Watchtower. Okay, I'm going to talk about Watchtower for a second. One of the things I was talking about last night was, if you guys remember the old 82 to, well, 83 to whatever, pretty much consistent throughout the early years of Joe. And Lenny was talking about this, about how they're not going to do terrain pieces and all that other stuff. And people are like, oh, I think he's lying. And this is bullshit. Why can't they? And I don't accept the excuse of not having all of the space in the world. My wife's bed can go in the garage and all that stuff, right? But I was looking at them and I'm going to tackle it. I'm going to do the Watchtower because I have the components to do the Watchtower. I want to do a Watchtower. I think it's one of the most fun little things you can do. But again, fun with magnets, fun with everything, right? Little modular pieces of terrain were a big deal in Joe when I was a kid because these were the little stocking stuffers that parents could buy if they couldn't necessarily afford to buy their kid, say, the killer whale or the moccasin or a mobat. They could still buy them some sort of little play factor for their Joes at a reasonable price, right? These were brilliant little things. And they're always on my mind, right? So there's your Watchtower, which is basically a porta-john on a baby high chair. So I'm going to do a proper Watchtower in my eyes anyways, because why not? But also I see some potential in how if you use the base and you have a bunch of smaller bases, maybe you could bring in the mountain howitzer and the bivouac. Because guys, that's something I know about a little bit. War story. I didn't always just deploy overseas. I actually deployed for the 2010 Winter Olympics in Kalchikori, British Columbia. And I got to learn a lot out there about close quarters protection, undercover cop stuff that the cops were talking about. Us, I had to do a police evasive driving course because I was part with the brigade. I was in the brigade commander's crew. I was his crew commander for his LAV. But during the Olympics, we're going to be driving around in Suburbans and other vehicles. So I had to do this entire crash course on how to drive like cops in a crisis situation, because the premise was, again, what if something happens during the 2010 Olympics? Right? So it was kind of fun. It's kind of informative and all that other stuff. But what I'm looking for right now was these guys. These guys were instrumental in any of the Rocky regions. People that live in Colorado probably have seen these guys in action. And if you live in a mountainous region with a lot of snow and a lot of tourism, you can figure out that these guys are avalanche control. Well, up here in Canada, that is actually a task to some of our reserve and Reg Force artillery units in British Columbia along the paths of the Sea to Sky Highway and things like that, right? So these are the guys that would have, a watchtower, a howitzer, and a bivouac site, maybe an ammo dump, things like that, right? So that's a very real modern military thing. So if Lenny and I ever sat down for coffee, and of course he'd buy the first coffee and I'd buy the second, and then by the time we're into 12 coffees, we're talking up a storm. And we would definitely be talking about, I think it's a mistake for them to pass on the smaller terrain pieces. They can be absolutely correct, and no need to build the large pieces like the headquarter playset or the Terror Dome, because it wouldn't be cost effective and it would be a massive gamble. But if they followed suit with the motto in the 82 line, which was to give achievable small play sets for children to interact their figures with when they're playing, that parents can afford, very successful. There's no logic that works against it, right? When you work off their motto of revitalizing a modernized take on the original G.I. Joe design. And here we are with brand new comics. And they've had to talk about which film medium they wanted to do, but nothing's really worked right now. But we got a movie coming. And then this line that's catching fire, to sit there and tell you that, no, it's too complicated to do play design sets, that's a waffle. That's a waffle of an excuse. We all know it. I understand the logic of the plastic math and the space math, but at the same time, those little pieces, no, you got to do that. All right, Legend, good, buddy. I've got my message for you. You're gonna see that by dinner tonight, and then you and I are gonna chit chat. And I will see you soon. I'm excited. And Grievance, congratulations. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, it's a shame Legends got to go, but it's that weekend. Those of us with kids, we know exactly what's going on. Legend, I think you're up in New York and you got kids, so I know exactly what's going on well enough. I myself have to get going here shortly, but I'm going to close with some thoughts on that. Grab another topic from the jar because I'm going to end it probably in about 10 minutes or so. But yeah, those little pieces, I don't think, the more I think about it, the more I think that Lenny was told to say a certain thing about it because they haven't decided on it, but I don't think the logic is there the way they shared it on set pieces like interactive displays. I think we will start seeing them as more and more feedback about some of the riskier characters starts coming back in. Maybe some people walk from the line out of frustration over the waves and quality control or whatever, and they start looking for another new thing they can do. That's when we'll start seeing them. So I'm thinking 2026, 2027 is when I would think we're going to start seeing a different take on Joe. That isn't a vehicle and isn't a toy. It's the old play sets, right? That's my thing. You have to produce live MMA down. Oh man, that's not playing with your kids at all unless your kids are ready to kill us all. Well, you have a great day with that, buddy. I'm going to sum up here today as well soon here in a minute. I'm just going to explain, guys, what I'm working on for the rest of the day besides Frank Castle and getting that banged out with Grievance online and sorting out some live stuff with eventually again with the backyard crew. But there's a couple of people that wanted to maybe take me up on that offer, so I'll start doing some coordinating with them this weekend. I've got some cadet stuff I got to do with my kid, family stuff for sure, but gonna finish off my Dusty vest, put Dusty and Beachhead back together with their new kit loadout. It's gonna work on that ram cycle thing. The Mad Dogs are at the forefront, but of course in front of all of it is Frank Castle and a C3PO is all that coming. Don't forget about all that hashtag May the Power of the Force stuff, guys. You're gonna start seeing it on more of our channels. And if you can, guys, try and watch as many as you can and comment, share, like, whatever. Cobra, sorry, Trip C, I agree. I mean, they just really started vehicles and play sets, and that's just it, right? I got to look at bottom line. Hasbro is a mega money company, right? They are a toy company. I'd love to see them as just that, but that's not the way the world works. And feedback and criticism and all of that erodes into action at some point. We're going to take that hat off and get back into my work hat. It erodes into action, right? When something erodes into action in a negative sense, that was well too late for you to have done anything about it. So the point being is that the moment Lenny said that, I knew that was a subject that was never going to be over. I thought I'd put my other hat away. Oh, I'll just put this back on. That subject wasn't over. That discussion is not done. Lenny probably did the best he could with all that, and he probably meant every word of it at the time, but I'm sure even he knew that discussion is not done. And I don't buy it. Like I said, there's too much on the line with this right now, with this line. And when I say there's too much on the line, it's not like they, drastic for them or drastic for us. When I say there's too much on the line right now, is the popularity lifespan of this particular product in G.I. Joe Classified and Retro kind of hinges on how the next couple of endeavors go with, figure 2-packs, continual repaints, because we're going to see so many more, and then these vehicles plus vehicle repaints balanced with what doesn't come in the demand for it, right? And then HasLabs. And then on top of that, you're going to have competitors. So right now, this is the most beautiful time for me, as I see it, for Hasbro to really try and carve out a longer lifespan with their product. But when they shut down certain ideas and, make mistakes in front of the camera saying you can ask us questions that we'll never answer, ha ha ha. I know I'm villainizing it. And it was a mistake, guys. It was a mistake that that person has paid for quite a lot, I think. When I see all of that, yeah, it's just, it is what it is, guys. It's you can extend your shelf life by first of all shutting things down and then telling us that we're impractical for asking for it, right? uh yeah, it's a long way to go for that point, but it's true, you know, like at every time we ask for something, the explanation is why we're going to not get it, what all the things are. And guys, those of us who have ever built something with our hands, or have ever made a company or a product, or have ever had a staff that, you know, have rough years, we get it. All right, we get those considerations, but your common collector does not give a rat's ass what your excuses are. They know you can do other things, or at least they're convinced why, and you don't have the time to explain it to them, right? So either embrace some new challenges and pray it works out, or expect a shorter shelf life. But you are at some point going to have to deal with something that doesn't have four wheels and hasn't been reprinted a million times. At some point, people are going to get tired of going roll, roll, roll with land vehicles, and they're going to want air vehicles, water vehicles, and landing strips. So, hey guys, that's it for live today. I really didn't have much for you today besides kind of letting you know about Grievance and the live and where I'm at with stuff. And I did that impromptu live last night, so I was even less content today, but somehow we managed to pull almost 2 good hours out of it, and that was the same last night. There we go, algorithm. How you like me now, bitch? Really, what I'm also trying to do is yeah, I'm trying to find out what I need to do for power of force flow and things like that. So that last live I had some karaoke music on the background, and I played a whole song of karaoke, and that's my way around a copyright. If I want the music, I don't need the lyrics. There you go, guys. So all things have little dubious plans. Grievance, I'm gonna check messages. I think you sent me one the other day that I didn't finish reading. I'm gonna get caught up on all this, but you're still in the chat, buddy. I want to fill in the blanks on the kind of details that you want to see in there and where you want me to have some free run. And we talked about lore, guys. I'm gonna end this on brain cannon, my friends, because brain cannons are the healthiest cannons out there. It's a lot of fun to have your brain cannon, and it's fine to explain and all that. I kind of do it with a grain of humility, like you gotta limit end state. But I will continue to mention my brain cannon, because why? Because it's fun to flex your mind muscle, and some people have gotten so beaten down in their life, their careers, their real jobs, that they've forgotten they used to do it. But when I hear somebody get excited over brain cannon, it excites me. So fire off your brain cannons this weekend, guys. Do something exclusively for your shelf that's from your brain, not necessarily a store. That's my challenge to you. Don't forget, I still have that Rust challenge about making your own avatars, right? These aren't serious challenges. The only serious challenge is Aaron's got to make a goddamn devilfish, and I got to make a goddamn thing. But all the other challenges are fun, like that one is. But yeah, if I ever put out a challenge like that, hit me up and follow it up with me. Be like, you said to make an avatar. Here's mine. And I'll be like, wicked. But yeah, make something for your Joes this weekend, or write something, draw something, take a picture of them, do something that doesn't involve going out and buying something for them. Right? Flex your brain cannons. Anyways, guys, thanks, Grievance. I'm still going to interact with you. We'll go on this. This is going to be a lot of fun. Plus, I also have to ask you about what kind of a wall you want, right? Because that's a custom as well. So the other reason I need the brain cannon, buddy, you got a file card coming. We got to work that out. All right, guys. We'll see you soon. Bye.